everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome back. I'm Jeannie and it's been a while since I've tested out a new product, so we're going to do another dip it or dump it. This company isn't new to me. I've used her dip powders before. I'll leave the link for a video I did using her dip powders up above in the cards. But recently, well, I guess maybe not recently anymore, I think maybe a couple months ago, Marullo Nail Co. released some dip liquids and I bought them and they've been sitting. I haven't tried them yet. See, the box isn't even open yet, so I was saving it to do a dip it or dump it video, first impressions of the dip liquids. So I'm finally getting around to it and I'm super excited to give them a try because I love trying new dip liquids. But of course, I had to buy some powders as well because I might as well, and I think they're really great. And she's got some really unique powders. So, and I love her jars. If you're not familiar with Marullo Nail Co., I haven't seen any jars like these. I just think they are so gorgeous. So I ordered some colors. She even included a little freebie, which I thought was sweet. So we're going to go ahead and give it a try. So I'm going to do kind of a live unboxing, first impressions of the dip liquids. I'll switch to voiceover and then we're going to do a fairly simple mani just because I don't like to go too crazy when I'm using liquids for the first time, because I like to give them a fair shot and I don't want to go too crazy and just do something a little more simple. So let me get the powders out of the way and we're going to go ahead and unbox the dip liquids. First of all, I love how they're protected. This is such a cute cardboard box. It's so beautiful. So I'm glad she packaged it this way. And I can't remember when she released these liquids. I think it was at least a couple months ago. But I just hadn't had a chance because I had other content I needed to do. But I knew, like, in the back of my mind, it just was bugging me that I hadn't tried these yet. So I'm excited to try them. So let's go ahead and jump in. So I've got the set of 3, so I'm going to have a dip base, activator, and top coat. I'll look to see whether it's sets only or if she sells them separately, but I did buy all 3 because I like to use dip liquid sets. So right out of the box, these are really nice, heavy bottles, so it's really good quality bottles. And I like that. I like the heavier bottles because they're less prone to tipping over. So this is the top coat. Let's see. Taking a look at that. So there is the, I don't know if you can see that stopper for liquid control inside the lid. So that's always helpful to have. And then as far as consistency, it seems like, I'll tell you once I use it, but it seems like more of a medium consistency to me. It doesn't seem super thin, but yet it doesn't seem super thick either. So just looking at what's coming out of the bottle, it seems like it's a medium consistency. It's got like that stiffer clear brush. From where I'm sitting now, I don't smell anything, but obviously I get closer to the bottles when I'm actually doing a mani. But I will say, as far as the way I am from it now, it's not a super strong odor, at least because I don't smell it currently. So that's our dip top coat. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And then we have our activator, which, basically activator's activator. I mean, some activators act super quick, some are a little bit slower, so we'll see how that works. I like that it's got the black brush in it. It does have the little liquid control stopper in there as well. I prefer the black brush because it absorbs more than the clear brushes. So when it comes to activator, I prefer having these types of brushes because I always go a little ham when I apply activator. So the more I can get on a brush, the better. So I really like that she's got this brush in the activator. And actually, I don't smell it from here where I'm sitting either. So as of right now, not super strong. Obviously, we'll see once I do the mani, once I start actually using it. And then we've got our dip base. So it does have that little liquid control stopper in there as well. I'm not smelling anything. And then I think the same thing as the top coat It seems about a medium consistency. We'll see about dry time once I get into the mani, but it doesn't seem super thin. It doesn't seem super thick. And I do prefer like medium consistency dip liquids. I don't like thick dip liquids because then it makes my layers thicker, but I don't like thin, like super thin easier either, because then I have to do more layers if I want a little more thickness to my mani, especially I'm wearing them for a long time. So definitely really excited to try these out. They seem like, at least, you know, from first impressions of looking at the bottle, they seem like the type of dip liquids I like to use. So definitely excited for that. So let me pick what colors I'm going to use. I'm going to switch to voiceover mode, and we're going to do just a simple mani together on my right hand. So I've got my tips ready. So we'll go ahead and do a mani. So I'll be right back. I'm back, and I chose these two colors to use for today's mani. I thought they'd be really fun to do because I like neon colors in the summertime. So the solid hot pink is Brickelle Ave, and then I've also got a terrazzo topper. So this is Bikini Bottom. When I think of Marullo Nail Co, I think of terrazzo dip powders. She's the one who kind of like started them, at least from my awareness, and they're very unique. She's got a ton of amazing variety. But we'll get to that after I'm done with my solid first. So I'm going to be starting with Brickelle Ave, and this jar was so hard to open. So let me come back after I get it open. I have to say her jars are sealed tight, which is great because they're not going to spill during shipment. But that took me a while to try to get it open. I had to take off my rings. I had to use something for leverage. But now I've got it open. This color is so beautiful. Now let's get into this mani. So Brickelle Ave is going to go on all my fingers except my middle finger, where I'll use the topper, and then I'll top one of the nails with the Bikini Bottom topper as well. Right off the bat, from my first nail, I stand corrected because I have to say I actually think this dip base is a thinner dip liquid. So I wouldn't call it a medium. I'd actually consider it a thin dip base. And the thing about thin liquids that I get concerned about is flooding, because the thinner it is, the easier it is most times to flood your cuticles. And on top of that, when I'm using liquids for the first time, I almost always flood my cuticles because I need to get used to the liquid, how much I need. So it's really a matter of figuring out what my liquid control is for the liquids. However, even though this is a thinner dip base, I did not flood my cuticles at all. So I definitely would consider this liquid beginner friendly, because I think thinner dip liquids are good for beginners. And I think that you can control the thin liquid, and you can't, you know, I mean, you can, but that it's, you don't automatically flood your cuticles, I think is a really great thing. I would still say this isn't a strong smelling liquid, so there is actually a scent. However, it's not super strong. But I'm not one to typically get dip flu, so usually when I get dip flu, it's because I've done like a ton of swatching or a ton of manis back to back, so it's really like overexposure for me. So don't take my word for it, but I will say it's not a super strong smelling liquid. And I know I've been talking about the dip liquids, but I just have to mention how easy to use this solid dip powder is. Not just solid, neon. So solid dip powders are really hard to get right because they can come out chalky, they can come out patchy and uneven, and then you throw a neon pigment on top of that. They can be difficult to work with. But just look at the coverage of one dip of this powder. It's super smooth, it's super easy to use, there's nothing chalky or patchy about it. I just can't get over how beautiful this is. I am super impressed with this. And even on top of that, even with the great pigmentation, I had zero staining. You can probably tell I'm into neon colors right now because I'm wearing neon colors on my left hand as well. I didn't do a video with this mani, but I did post it on my Instagram page. So I'll leave the link for my Instagram down below in the description. But if you want to see a mani like this, I can recreate something similar for a video. Just let me know down below in the comments whether you want to see something like what I have on my left hand. Although I have to say, those palm trees were difficult. For dry time of this dip base, it seems like it's a bit of a faster dry time. You can see kind of on my thumb where I missed some spots, and I'm able to kind of dust off the excess powder almost immediately after doing my mani. However, having said that, usually your first layer of dip base dries quicker than your subsequent layers. But when I go into my second layer, because I'm going to do 2 layers of this color, I still think it's a little bit of a faster dry time, but I don't think it's like where I have to rush. Like I get plenty of time to do a second even layer on my entire nail without it drying on me. So I'd say fast to medium dry time for the dip base. Going into my second layer, I wasn't sure whether the neon dip powder would stain that clear brush, so I just got some paper towel so I could wipe my brush after I apply the dip base to my nail, but it actually didn't stain the brush, so I don't know how this is so pigmented without staining anything. I did this because it's a brand new bottle and I didn't want to contaminate the new bottle, but to be honest, it's actually really good practice and hygiene to do it regardless of whether it's a new bottle or not, but I'm really bad about that. I finished with my 2 dips of Brickelle Avenue, but I'm not going to cap and clear yet because I'm going to move on to this topper. Now these terrazzo powders are so unique. So this one's a topper. It's not actually a dip powder, but I'm going to use it on a full nail anyway, just because I couldn't help myself. And I kind of liked the way it looked with a little bit of that negative space, especially since I'm wearing a cover tip, so you can kind of see like that nude color anyway. So I'm doing that as a full nail on my middle finger, and then I'll use it as an actual topper on my index finger. But the cool thing about these is, so they're terrazzo powders because they kind of have like that terrazzo tile look to them. They're not glitters. I'm not sure what material they actually are. I don't even know if, so they kind of remind me of like clay pieces. I don't know if they're actually clay pieces. They're very like fragile, they're breakable, they're not like super hard. But the good thing about them is that you can file over them. You don't need to cap them in clear, because if you file through them, you're still going to get that, so that color's all the way through. If you file through a normal glitter, you don't want to really file on top of it, file through it, because usually a colored glitter, the center is silver. But with these terrazzo pieces, whatever they are, clay or whatever material it is, they don't lose their color, which I think is really unique. So you'll see, I'll show you after I'm done with my dips that I'm going to file right on top of them, and you'll see they look exactly the same, which I think is so cool that you don't actually have to cap in clear after you're done using these. I didn't pick up a lot of the pieces in my first layer from dipping in the jar, so I decided I wanted to do kind of my chunky glitter method. So I went ahead and poured the rest of my jar into my Chaos gem mold. So for my second layer, I'm going to lay my finger flat in so I can pick up more of those terrazzo pieces, because I just want a little bit more, and I will end up doing some terrazzo placement as well, just to get a little more coverage. Marullo does have both terrazzo powders as well as terrazzo toppers. So this one is particularly a topper, so it's on a clear base with those terrazzo pieces. I kind of like that it gives me the flexibility to decide how I want it. So I could use it as a topper like I did on my index finger, or on my middle finger. I could just leave it a little more sparse. I could add a little bit more, but I can use it as a full dip and just kind of do either more dips or do some terrazzo piece placement, which I end up doing. So it kind of gives me a little more flexibility, but I just love these neon colors. I think this is a really fun topper. And it's an added bonus, I think, that I don't have to cap it in clear, that this topper is my cap in clear. I capped my 3 solid nails in clear, but before I put away my dip base, I want to make sure that I'm cleaning up the bottle. So I'm just taking that paper towel and I'm wiping around the top of the lid and around the threads before I store it, just to make sure if there's any excess dip base, I don't want my bottle to be sealed shut. I'm going to go ahead and activate my nails. That's going to harden the dip powder in order for me to be able to file and buff on top of it. And I really like this activator brush because it holds a lot of activator in it. So I don't have to keep re-dipping just to make sure I get ample amount of activator on my nail. And I will say I don't find this very strong smelling at all. Some activators can be really strong. I mean, this does definitely have a scent, but I say it's not as strong as some of the other activators that I've smelled. One of the things that I did notice almost immediately is this activator works quick. Like, you saw me apply it, it's like 1.5 times speed, so the video is a little bit sped up, but my dip powder is already hardened. So if you want a quick acting activator, this is amazing. And I'm just going to quickly show you filing over this terrazzo powder. So I'm only going to show you my middle finger. I'll do the rest of my nails off camera, but I want to show you just how easy it is and how it doesn't impact the color, because remember, I didn't cap this in clear. So I'm taking my skinny nail file and I want to make sure that I'm cleaning up my shape. I always like to start with cleaning up my shape, and I love this skinny nail file, but because it kind of gets in between like my cuticle area and the dip powder to make a cleaner cuticle line. So dip powder, when you apply it, it does add a little bit of bulk to your nail, which can impact your shape, which is why I clean that up a little bit. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to use a regular nail file. This is my 100/180 grit nail file. I'm using the 180 side, so the little bit of finer side, to file on top of the powder. So these terrazzo pieces, they are very, I guess, hard. They're brittle, but they're not like so hard where you can't file on top where it's difficult to file, or else I'd be using the 100 grit side of this file. But they're not flexible like glitters, so they're not going to bend to my nails. So right now my nails are very lumpy, very bumpy. So the filing is going to help smooth everything out, because I want to make sure that my nail looks smooth and the surface is even. So I'm going to work to continue filing over the surface, and then I'll do a little buffing, and then I'll be ready. I'll do the rest of my nails off camera, and then I'll be ready. I'll come back on and do my top coat. I went ahead and filed and buffed the rest of my nails off camera. So here's how the mani's looking. So you can see, as far as the terrazzo pieces, all the nails are smooth and even. There's no lumps or bumps. And then the color is still there, so I didn't file off any of the color. So now we're going to get into the most exciting part, which is the dip top coat. I always love a good dip top coat. So in order for your top coat to dry, you do need activator. So I'm going to apply one final layer of activator to all my nails. I'm going to wait a full 2 minutes for it to dry, and then we'll get into the top coat. For my first layer of dip top coat, I'm applying it in 2 to 3 swipes on each nail. I want to be fairly quick about it in case there's any excess activator. In between each nail, I'm making sure to wipe my brush on a lint-free wipe just in case there's any excess activator. I don't want to contaminate my brush and harden it. And then once I'm done with my 5th nail, if you look at my nails, they look a little dull, a little wrinkly. That's when I know I'm ready to go in with my second layer of top coat. So for my second layer, I'm going to take my time a little bit more, make sure my entire nail is covered. And I also want to make sure that I'm capping my free edge. As always, I'm going to finish off my mani by rehydrating my cuticles with my Scales of Mermaid cuticle oil. This is in a previous limited edition set, Dead Inside. Not only do I absolutely love the label and the name, I love this scent. It's such a good one. But anyway, let me go ahead and give you my final thoughts on this because I know this is a bit of a longer video. But I wanted to make sure you kind of saw my full experience with trying out these dip liquids for the first time. So I know we all don't need any more dip powders, but if you haven't tried Marullo Nail Co., you need to stop sleeping on it. Seriously, her powders were so easy to work with. They are so beautiful. And these dip liquids, I don't think I can say any bad things about them. They were super user friendly. They were on the thinner side, and they didn't have like a really strong odor. And this top coat is super shiny. I mean, seriously, really impressed with these dip liquids. I will definitely be reaching for them again. They are definitely a dip it. I highly recommend them. Give them a try. You won't regret it. And this is not a sponsorship. These weren't sent to me. I paid for this with my own money. It's just really how I feel about it because just look at that top coat shine. Look at how beautiful these powders are. I am just so happy, and I'll definitely be using more of them. And I don't know why I don't use them more often. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. It lets me know to continue creating content like this. And it also helps YouTube recommend me to others, which helps grow my channel. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload content every Monday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.